Let's hear it for Aqua and Reason with challenges right off the drop. This team might take a different approach today to get to the top of the leaderboard.
Absolutely incredible. Once again, just our first 10 duos coming back onto the stage after 6 games yesterday. I feel like we can't not talk about them, right, Brazil? PH Zin, Kitos, that back corner over there was going absolutely ham for them, and I want to know how you guys expect them to do.
They're still there. They haven't lost their voice. I don't know how.
It's been amazing, right? PH Zin, Kitos, 25 FNCS Finals appearances. PH Zin, 4 championships alone, 1 for Kitos, total of 5 FNCS championship titles for the duo. I mean, they're incredible.
Yeah, they really are. They're playing so good. They're getting to the front side of zone. I'm excited to see them today.
That's right. Let's go ahead and meet the next 10 players. Let's run it. Give it up for eye-dropping Mr. Savage, coming in hot on his birthday run yesterday. These guys faced a huge obstacle off spawn. Will this change today?
A team that needs no introduction, Clintz and Duke, with a clash of the Titans currently happening in Fort Jonesy. Will Clintz and Duke come out on top today?
This is Cold and Scented, holding the NA East banner high with the Victory Royale in an 8th place after day number 1. This team is going to try to make it happen for real today.
Make some noise for Runa and Peppo with 2 top 15 finishes on day 1. These guys are looking to climb to the ranks in day 2 and take home the crown.
Let's put our hands together for Noah Riley and Bad Sniper with an 8 elimination game yesterday and an average of an elimination rounds of 2.7 per game. They're hot.
Give it up for Threats and Alice. This Asia and NA East combo needs to focus on the end game today to boost their leaderboard placement to take the first place spot.
The W Keyers have arrived. Malabuka and Mustache with a total of 13 eliminations. This duo, it might be looking to change things up today and go for the comeback.
Put your hands together for Trulex and Chicho with some great performances on day 1. These guys have already proven that they belong in this lobby and they belong at the top.
Welcome to Bailey and Alex, battling it out at the Coney Crossroads off spawn. These guys can still make it today, but it will take a hero's effort.
Pablo, Wingu, and Swag with a bumpy start to day 1. These guys are in full focus mode for the comeback. Watch out, because it might get dangerous.
Welcome everyone. I am joined here by Scented and Cold, your 8th place team out of day number 1. And Scented, we got to talk about that Victory Royale run that you had yesterday. What was the recipe for success?
You know, we just played our game. We got some good loot. We're getting half of our loot taken, so we were able to find some refreshes and put ourselves in a good spot throughout the game, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, you know, you guys are in a good spot right now. 8th place is a great place to be in. But what's the strategy for today? You're changing things up or still sticking with what you did?
Just sticking to the same thing, just playing our game out, hopefully, just hoping for the best.
I love it. Thank you guys so much. And one last thing, is there anything that you want to say to the audience right now?
Enjoy, I guess. Like, I don't know.
Guys, make some noise for Scented and Cold right now. Let's head on over to the next part.
Please welcome Clown and Refscard with a total of 78 points and currently 25th on the leaderboard. These guys will need to climb the ranks today and pop off.
Let me give you Mixin and Ardor coming out high yesterday. These guys are looking to keep it going for the best possible placement today on the day.
A big welcome to Pars and Rays, representing the NA West region. They will need to focus up if they want to climb that leaderboard. Yesterday was, of course, a battle at the drop.
Put a warm welcome together for Belusi and Hijo with a central drop on the map. These guys should have a smooth time reaching all the zones and that first place.
Vico and Marine, everyone, with the highest single-player elimination count in game number 6. This team has to be ready to keep the ball rolling and try to grab that first place spot.
On one and Baka, everyone, with an off-spawn contest from the very first second of each game. They're looking to take over day 2 and take over the top spot.
Let's hear it for Walks and Robob. They had a strong showing to close out day number 1 here at the FNCS Invitational. Let's see what they can do today.
This is Groles and Rifty. These guys got fired up on day 1 and will look to continue that streak today and take home the prize for EU.
Let's get a big welcome for Larson and Smite, battling it out at the top of the leaderboard amongst the best of the best. This duo had a lot to say before closing out the evening.
Put your hands together for Falconer and Hellfire. This NA West and EU combo cracked the code towards the end of day 1, and let's hope they can keep it going today.
"20 duos left to introduce, but we have a little moment here. Let's talk about Smite and Larson. Sitting in 7th place, we got to see them just 2 back. How are you feeling about this duo coming into the competition today? Because I have really high hopes.
Look, I'm on your boat, Zeke. They're looking strong. They're looking powerful. Winning 4-2 off spawn against Muzz and Looter. Currently in the 7th place spot. I mean, they're doing great.
Yeah, they're doing great. Another duo that's doing great as well is, of course, Vico and Marine. We thought they were going to land Tilted Towers yesterday, but they switched it up. They went to the reality tree, and it's working out for them. Of course, Vico with the highest solo eliminations of the day. A 10-elimination game in the final game, so they close things off strongly. Can they pick it up?
We'll find out, but first, let's meet the next 10 duos from the FNCS Invitational. Put your hands together for Peter Bot and Jumper. These guys are looking to make that great comeback today. We all know they have the potential to do it, but they will have to step it up.
Make some noise for Pam, Stu, and Fatch. Currently finding themselves in the top 10. These guys are running for the trophy. Now is the time for them to shine.
KBR in seat, folks, giving it their all yesterday. They find themselves as the 6th best team in the tournament so far. They are here to make the Brazilian region proud.
Let's give a warm welcome to Bevy and Vortexers, coming out with an average elimination of 2.6. These guys are amongst the top fraggers in this lobby. Let's see more of this today.
And a big welcome for Retake and Novice, finding themselves at the bottom half of the leaderboard here. They have to now make this day the comeback. A single game can change it all.
Give it up for Scram and Chimp, showing they belong in this lobby with a top 3 finish in day 1. Will they keep that momentum going?
Put your hands together for Zaku and Marine with a great day 1 and several fantastic late games. Will they, can they repeat their opening success from day 1?
A fantastic welcome to Jew and U Street. Today is the chance for a comeback for this team, and they are looking for that opportunity now more than ever.
This is the Andy and Joe FN, everybody. All eyes
eyes are on the prize for this team here as they are currently coming into the competition at 5th. What a showing it was for day 1.
Give it up for Cool and Yumi, finding themselves close to the top 10. Everything is possible for this team. Today is their final chance to make it happen.
I am joined right now here in North Carolina by FaZe Replays! Replays, my guy, what an amazing experience this is. You were at World Cup, here we are at FNCS Invitational. How has the vibe been for you?
Oh man, it feels great to finally be back at an in-person event. The vibes, the atmosphere is feeling absolutely amazing. So, shout out to all of you guys coming. Honestly, let's make today a great day.
Yes, Replays! I mean, speaking of the community as well, what does an event like do this to the community? You're a huge ambassador of the game here.
Yeah.
How great is it for these guys?
Honestly, this is like I said, it's being back again after like 4 years. Like I think this is great for everyone to experience. Like just seeing all the players here from around the world. One of the best, some of the best players around the world, being able to watch in person is such a great experience. So let's have fun. Let's see how these players do today, and let's see who takes it all.
Let's do it. Enjoy the show. Replays, everyone. Let's meet the next 10 duos.
This is King and Ed Lagana with a strong ending on day number 1. The Brazilian duo has to show up and perform even better here on day 2. Can they do it?
Please welcome Focus and Spy. The amazing Middle Eastern duo is looking to make strides up through the leaderboard today. Are they ready to do it?
It's Thomas HD and Tripper, folks, with the best average placement of day 1 and a 2nd place finish here. They are locked in and ready to grab that 1st place today.
A huge welcome to Macwood and Kanata. With an average of over 13 points per game on day 1, they showed they are consistent, but now it's time to pop off.
And let's hear it for Acorn and Edgy. Consistency is the key word here. With 3 top 6 performances yesterday, they secure themselves a solid 4th place coming into day 2.
Make sure to get loud for Hand and Vortex. This incredible duo showed they belong in this lobby with an amazing 2nd place finish with 7 eliminations yesterday.
And a big welcome to Kamavin and Avery with an amazing Victory Royale on day 1. Kamavin and Avery are focused and ready to get even more here for day 2.
A duo that needs absolutely no introduction with the clash of the European Titans in Cloudy Condo. Tayson and Chapix are looking to take over.
Let's give it up for Moz and Looter with the contested drop spot at the Grim Gables. I am sure we are in for a treat today. It's going to be a hero's effort to take it all.
And finally, let's hear it for Booga and Miro. The fan favorites are ready and looking to make a comeback of a lifetime.
My goodness, it'll never get old. I'm telling you, watching these duos make an entrance like that is always going to be incredible. We want to highlight a duo for you here, and it's a lot of probably a duo that we're all hoping, and we kind of touched on, hope does well, Acorn and Edgy. Edgy having a series of 2nd place finishes in the FNCS, still hasn't seen that 1st place. And man, he wants it, and he wants it here.
Look, he wants it. He's not the only one that wants it. Thomas and Edgy both competing for that trophy, their 1st trophy. But talking a bit more on Acorn, I couldn't emphasize enough how important their day 1 is and was for them. I mean, Acorn having the most damage dealt in the first and second zone out of any player shows that they prepared beforehand for this tournament. But the question is, in day 2, will they be contested? Will the change in zones cause them to not do as much damage? There's so many factors that come into play.
Yeah, absolutely. And their worst game was a 42nd, and it was when Hydro and Belusi rotated in from that west side. It kind of made things a little bit difficult for them because they had so many teams in the area already. Of course, we have Noah Rayleigh there as well. It's very, very difficult for them to all be there at once, and unfortunately, they did fall victim to that. But their other games have been really, really consistent. They've been very, very solid, playing the end game layers really well, and I'm excited to see them perform today.
That's right, Kelly standing by right now with Acorn and Edgy as they prepare for the competition.
Thank you so much, Zeke. I am joined by Acorn and Edgy. And guys, make some noise for this team right here. You guys are currently in 4th place. What is that like to be in the top 5?
It feels pretty nice, especially one of the only NA teams up here. But it's not over till it's over, and it's just going to come down to the last game.
UFOs and aliens, just another day at the office. Portfolios and mailing lists, just another way to spread the gossip. I'm so bored of this world, it looks the same as yesterday. UFOs and aliens, just another day at the office. Portfolios and mailing lists, just another way to spread the gossip. I'm so bored of this world, it looks the same as yesterday. I'm trying to break out.
Today. It may have started off a little slow, but Smite and Larson know how dangerous they can be, especially if they have the high ground against Muzz and Looter. But the longer this one takes, it looks like it was a little bit of a north zone. A lot of teams are going to begin to rotate in, so you know as well as I do, the longer you take, the more chance of a third party, and that's going to be Larson and Smite's job right there to try to disengage. But they don't disengage far. They just continuously hold that high ground.
Smart of them. They're showing us that they actually want to take this fight. Smite and Larson, some of the most confident players we have actually seen.
Yeah, he's not backing down.
Looter's like, what's up? You guys want to do this? I play better. Box to box. Come see me.
That could have been a key. That could have been a huge key for success for Smite and Larson, because winning those off-spawn exchanges gets you the Storm, so you don't have to worry about it later in the game. But the duo from OCE wants to challenge the NA East. Muzz taking some layers away. Larson just trying to stagger himself. Right there, those angles are going to be so important for both of these teams.
And players know better than to go too high as well. You want to make sure you're respecting the distance, not too much. In fact, you get chopped down, but it's a great angle here. Muzz finds a huge tag. He's going to win the exchange there, and luckily, the shots in the distance, probably from King and Ed, do not connect here.
Yeah, it's like an Eiffel Tower getting built. You even see those shots already now coming in from all different directions. Everybody wants that surge. They want to have as much flexibility through the mid game as possible. And once again, it looks like Larson and Smite are trying to disengage. They don't want to get stuck in this mess. They felt and dealt with this lobby at the top spot, and they know that you cannot fall behind. You cannot put everything you all have in all one moment. So for them, it's about re-matting up, because you look, they barely have anything.
Well, lucky for us, things are going to simmer down, and Taco's going to give us the quick update.
But more importantly, it's going to be about some of these Southside teams that are, again, going to be finding themselves making a huge journey towards those North polling zones. Joe and Andy specifically, they're sitting right now in that 4th place position on the leaderboard, so it is absolutely crucial for these guys to gather as much materials, as much loot and resources as possible, and that's exactly what Andy and Joe are making sure to take their time to do, because they know they've got quite the journey ahead of them, and they're going to make the most of it. But let's get back to the action.
Thank you so much for that breakdown there, Taco. It really does give us the full picture about Joe and Andy's journey in the game here, right? They're one of the few teams, like we said, they, against all odds, perform very well with the zone not landing them.
Yeah, and you can kind of see a little bit of how they're getting that job done, but Smite in the feed, looking like he's already going to take down Muzz, leaving Looter in a 1v2 situation. I'm getting that feeling of deja vu from yesterday where they 1v2'd inside of the cave, but it got really, really dangerous.
It's a Great angle for Smite here. He almost catches Ludo off guard. He was so ready, but here comes the defensive shots from down low. He's got to be careful. That wall is not his, and now he has to break through. This is how a pro player turns things around. Larson comes from behind and throws tomatoes on the body just like that.
Showing exactly how he's feeling right now, but there goes that first elimination. This is how Muzz went down. He's building in wood. The lack of resources right now. He got did up like a sit-up, sent back to the lobby. Now it's up to Pars. They were in an exchange. He got the knock on to Bailey. The Siphon finally going to come through, and this is a chance for him to slow it down, stabilize here for a moment while he figures out what is next.
Alex and Bailey have been contested this weekend. Pars and Raze mixing things up. Seems like they haven't caught a break just yet. But way to kick things off. Raze is down, in fact, as well. So this is a one-on-one type situation. The question is, can he find his way to a reboot, Van? The longer this goes on, the tougher it's going to be for him to go ahead and turn this bad situation around.
Yeah, but if they're going to go ahead, and right now Alex has the opportunity with the med miss and the flopper, they can try to get a reboot that is in Storm, but you got to do it sooner rather than later. But it doesn't look like Pars wants to let that one come easy. And you can see the zone in the left. That is going to be another northern zone. So the players that we were talking about, Janice and Vadil, Joe and Z, Andy, and a lot of those teams that are on the southern portion of the map have to go ahead and figure out a way to go ahead and travel as fast as possible yet again.
Looks like we're picking up the trend where we left off. This is a full zone pool. But Joe and Zian have already proven to us they know how to play these. One thing we do know for certain is so does Vino and Queasy. When the zone lands on top of them, they have turned all of those games around into excellent end games. We'll see if it ends up happening. Joe and Z Andy moving from outside the zone. They don't necessarily want to take the fastest course of action to the safety. They have to go a little wide here to give themselves some room. In the distance, Cammy and Seti, so they're hot on their trails as well. And then, of course, Macwood and Kanata here to the left. That's the resistance.
Yep, you see Joe and Zandy, 5 games with 5+ eliminations on day one. Most of any duo. The consistency coming out of some of these teams is absolutely insane, but jumping on board, Queasy and Vino, our first place team. They got the zone that you talked about, and you can look how they're setting up right on top of the blimp. They're not necessarily together. That way they can continue to maximize their opportunity to get Surge.
And they're so far apart. Just look at where Vino is compared to where Queasy was on that mountain. They have that north zone on lock. Here's Edgy and Acorn, one of NA East's only hope inside the top 10 right now. Last game yesterday fell slightly short of their expectations, but one thing I did notice about Acorn and Edgy, they were in the player lounge late last night, VOD reviewing, studying how to adjust their gameplay to never drop another round. If they can put all of those rounds and learnings into play, Game 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
And that VOD review actually paid off, but we've seen this rotate from Cammy and Seti. Everybody's hitting that VOD review after day number 1. They want that free rotation, especially since they are in the storm. But I did see Booga go down. Malibuka getting a knock on to Andalex. But for this team, I love this rotate now. Cammy and Seti were in a different position yesterday. They were down on Surge, but for Trulex and Ticho, they are over 300 above. They have absolutely nothing to worry about other than finding that sweet spot in zone.
Here's Colton Scented, playing very smart, taking their time, and of course, hiding out where they can. Another team that is seemingly interested in playing as individuals here. Scented trusting in his teammate to watch his back while he works on the loot. Trip Hearn and Thomas HD coming in at second place today, finding themselves 19 above the Surge. Big task in front of them, but this is perfect. Talk about a delivery. You find a player, it's Grolls, one that we know was already taken out earlier, so he's going to have a limited amount of loot to work with. It seems like Trip Hearn takes the passive route. They find a few tags, they get away. I wonder, is that the pressure of a day 2 finals? Is that the pressure of being in second place coming in? Were they too early?
Nah, I feel like this is them right now, feeling that comfortability, the flexibility of being at that top spot. Because you know as well as I do, depending on where you're at in the leaderboard dictates how you have to play coming into day number 2. If you're at the bottom, you got to find a way to mix those eliminations up with some victory royales. But if you're at the top, you can do anything that you want, and that's why that VOD review in the practice is so important.
Problem is going to come down to that Storm Surge, though. We'll see what they can do. Seti and Cammy find themselves very far above the Surge. but also deep inside the zone. That's something you don't see very often. That's like water and oil, they don't quite mix. But let's get on over to Brazil region right here of Zeets and KBR. They have big EU players on site here. Restguard and Clown are gonna get burned.
Yep, just outside of the zone as well. KBR and Zeet, they have plenty of heals to work with. And that's exactly why they're staggering themselves so far back, 290 above for them. That's a feeling of comfortability as Storm Surge begins to activate. And this is the thing, for those players that are comfortable on Storm Surge, this is an opportunity to look around the lobby, figure out who is struggling. Because when that Storm Surge ticks their shields down, you hear that crack, you hear that audio cue, and for some of these players, that's a green light.
Now we get to tune in. What looks like a little hold up, right? Looking at the loot, weighing the options, nice little pickups there. But hold up, Brazil versus Middle East is going down right now. Spy is on the low ground here with focus there. It's not looking good. PHZin loses the wall. Quick take there from Spy as he defends off PHZin, but PHZin has all the pressure off of his shoulders, and he catches Spy in a fly trap there with a quick finish. And I can hear the Brazilian fans on the other side cheering for PHZin and Quitos. They jump up to 4 eliminations. What a way to continue to climb their way up that top 10.
I just preface that type of situation. If you're down on Surge, you almost have to beeline it to the first team, and Cool's even going down backside of zone. Struggles for them. Looking like it's going to start early here in game number 7. Merrim's going to go down to Acorn. Yumi is out. The team from NA West that took the Chapter 3 Season 3 championship is out of the lobby in the first game.
You know, yesterday, Merim and Zagu had so many people start to fall in love with who they are, but they are going to get taken out in this competition a little early on their first surge. Joe and Zandy also feeling the pressures of a late rotate coming out the zone. Luckily, there is, of course, the edge right in front of them, so this is going to be a slow mover. They're going to have to burn a second launch pad now, which will open up an inventory slot, but look at Joe and Zandy here. They will have to do something big in order to bounce back. Have Coleman sent it off to the side here. Great early builds there. That's the safety play. Don't want to risk it. Not worth it.
You can see right now, since it's pulling so far north, you see Chrome Jam Junction right there. That southern portion of the zone is going to get so stacked, and it's going to get so hard for some of these players to traverse through as Thomas HD and Tripperin still trying to hold on to as much of the high ground as possible. And you can see him peeking through, gathering all that information, and that's so important because you don't have to get ready if you stay ready.
This is my problem with them disengaging from Girls and Rifty. Little did they know, that would have been an excellent fight for them to take. They were just coming off of a reboot pickup, and now looking back at it, they could have used that damage. This extra pressure here to perform is going to force them into either peeking, which will open up the risk, or jumping onto a player. And they're going to go for high ground here. They're going to go for position. They find a box. No one's inside of it. And a quick check just in case. Tripper all of a sudden finds himself in a world of trouble here. Just a couple of seconds before this surge turns on.
It's huge right now. You see they're just trying to look everywhere. But that's the thing in these stacked lobbies. When you fall behind on Surge, it is so tough to find the shots that you need because everybody's just boxed up. Nobody wants to peek. Nobody wants to bite off more than they can chew, because then that is how you go down. 329 above. Acorn by himself. He has very little to worry about in terms of Surge. For him, it's just about making it to zone game after game.
He's so lucky. The zone actually pulls south. We saw what Acorn was able to do yesterday as a solo. He picked up so many points, and that post-game interview was perfect. We got to hear the credit from Edgy, but Thomas HD, the surge is active. No way they go in through the Chrome build. They are not playing around, but this is some of NA West's best box fighters on the other side of the wall. Thomas HD, Tripper have to take this battle here. They do not have time to sit around. Looking out, anything for anything. There it is. Baka opens the wall. No tag. That's a miss. That's a problem. Might have found a little bit here. He's now leading. He does have the HP advantage. In he goes. The edit comes from the side. A great job. EU. One goes down. Can they turn it around? Baka needs to clutch up here. No HP. Shot from behind as well. He gets the trade. This is such a tough position.
He has to try to find a stabilize and find a moment to breathe right now, because it was game 5 yesterday. He 1v2'd Mr. Savage and iDrop at the top of Chrome Jam. Now he's trying to do the same thing, but I don't know if he was able to get the opportunity to revive on one. So Baka is now by himself, but luckily for him, they did get some early eliminations. They did get some early damage, so they don't have to worry about Storm Surge. But oh my god, how are Thomas and Tripperin still alive?
This is crazy. The map awareness, understanding the vault was just nearby and fighting their way towards it for the heals. It wasn't just for the battle, it was the positioning to the vault. What a big play here. It all makes sense as to why they wanted to position themselves here, but still, they will need to find tags now better than ever. They have shield bubbles as well to protect themselves for the next box fight.
Yeah, and for that can easily close the gap on a couple of teams if they want to go box to box, wall to wall, and have that be their plan. You can see them breaking through the builds. They're just trying to find anybody that is nearby because they don't want to peek and accidentally get shot at by the lobby. So for them, it's about finding whoever is close, and they hear the players nearby, so they're just trying their best to figure out what they are going to do.
Just a couple tags now, but also a few seconds away from the half in, half out. The Surge will continue to wreck the lobby. It's going to become more and more difficult now as the seconds rage on. This is game 7 of the FNCS Invitational, and the action is really starting to pick up now.
Yeah, Pamstu went down early on. Batch left by himself. A consistent duo on the day, but he is 17 below the damage threshold. Reed in his line of sight. He's trying to hunt, but somebody, that's Seti, who takes that one away. That was Batch's best chance at Storm Surge damage.
It's going to go all the way north here. We know Edgy was a solo. Now we have Batch as a solo as well. A tough position to be in. Take a look at the points. It is looking very much like a three-way race, continuing the trend here as EU leads the charge right now. Jumping over. Shield bubbles are down. Tripper and Thomas HD has found their next targets, and it's not an easy choice by any means. We are looking at KBR and Zeet on the other side of the wall.
And even though for Thomas and Tripper and Storm Surge is not activated right now, they knew where they last stood when it came to that damage. Exactly that. They are still below. It is still a worry for them, and they have to travel through all these players who are actually beating them to the punch. This could get dangerous, but for Janice and Vidil, they have the high ground. They have that perfect opportunity if they're low on Surge to just clean up the lobby.
And we wanted to check in with Vino and Queasy. How have they managed to take this zone favor and turn it to their advantage? Heavy material, big HP, well above the Surge, launch pads to work with. This is a story written for them right now. And again, you saw how many points they had leading coming into this. This can only end well for them at this point. But let's go ahead and look at Aqua. Reason, a much different story. This is a team that will play for height, and you can see they're already positioned themselves to do it. But Aqua with a drop shot and now punished for the risk. Was it worth it? Reason has to leave him behind. He turns it around. Another team says, whoa, what are you doing? That's a solo now. And the burning of the mats here to try to survive. That's unfortunate for Aqua.
Yep. He was right there trying to chop down, and that was tantalizing him to go for that shot right then and there, and he went for it. That was a huge opportunity. Unfortunately enough, it didn't pay off, but for Acorn and Edgy, they're making it this far. And actually seeing these guys get knocked a few times throughout this game. That was the way AG finally went down, but for Acorn, he was one of the biggest damage dealers in the lobby throughout 6 games yesterday. Looking to keep that up for Cammy and Seti. They started the day in 3rd. They moved up to 2nd already, so their game plan is continuing to pay off.
And Zeke finds Vico in the feed there too, so things are really starting to get interesting now as we're seeing changes happen. Joe is still in this game as well. Take a look. Acorn as a solo right now, making do with anything, right? Honestly, when we last tuned in, he barely had something, but on high ground, Queasy and Vino have now solidified themselves as the Titans up top.
Yeah, that feeling of deja vu sinks in yet again. 6-moving zone. That's the same time they took it yesterday as Thomas and Tripperin. This time around, they're going to have that flexibility because they're 141 above the damage threshold this time, so they don't have to go hunting. They can stay ahead of zone, try to get themselves in a good spot.
And what a just beautiful way and usage of the shield bubbles to make their rotate on the dead side while using the shield bubbles. Cammy, though, caught slipping there, and Seti is left now as a solo in this endgame to the hands of Larson. Cammy falls.
Yeah, and this endgame is just getting so rough. Up and down these mountains. These players are going to have to figure out what they're going to do, especially Tripper, who is out of builds. Him and Thomas have to figure out something, but they have been through the ringer this game. If anybody deserves it, it's them.
This is crazy. Tripper and Thomas should not be alive right now, but they are staying up. Thomas,
he does it again!
TrueLex with a huge refresh, and he is back in the game. It will come at the expense of Tripper falling, though. But hey, they have earned points, and now we have another top 3 player inside the game here, keeping up with the pace. Scented, Cold, still alive. 3 Elims as well. Looking to take a fight there, but no. They want to make this rotate. They need to get to the zone. What a great layer change here from Scented, and it's all about smart play from him.
Yeah, he had 2 med miss floppers on the backside of zone. Thomas doing everything he can to stay alive, just like Larson here, who's by himself. 5 eliminations as a team, most of them coming off the back of Larson and that early game start. But first place, Queasy and Vino holding on high to the high ground in the sky.
And Brazil is still alive in this game as well. So we have EU, NA, and Brazil all in the same game. You can see the heals coming out from Kitos and PH in there. They still have so much to work with. 2 of our top 5 teams already out. So for Vino and Queasy, they are starting to take away. Tripper holding on with dear life here at 200 points, making sure the gap does not go too far. 6 Elims now for a Brazilian duo. Larson has a solo right now, trying to steal away whatever he can get.
Only 2 builds his name. He's trying to play his cards carefully, but somehow Scented again, he goes down. But it's Thomas HD with a run of a lifetime right now, going down right before our very eyes. Top 10 finish. Now he's in the top 7 as well, trying to keep it going. KBR, Larson, all these solos coming around. This is going to get good.
Oh, right through the chrome, and Vortex puts him down. KBR, it's your turn. Nope, down he goes. And now we're looking at a 2-on-2 +1 in the mix there in the low ground. Queasy and Vino are starting to run out of, Matt's down low, but that's all. They have tons of heals to work with. Meanwhile, Bevies is just clawing his way through the builds here. It is not looking too good. Queasy's gonna get burned there for over peeking down low, but this should be their game.
That feeling of deja vu comes in yet again, picking up where they left off from yesterday. But this time, Janice and Vidil, the team from Greasy Grove, making it this far. And it's come down to a 2v2 situation between 2 of the top teams in EU. With Janice and Vidil feeling the pressure of the high ground, running out of builds. This is basically Queasy and Vino's game.
Both sides are starting to run out now. Queasy's down to 1 build as well. This is looking very dire. They're going to have to cap off. Janice and Vidil know better. They need to continue the pressure. Vino goes down. He takes a shot. Vidil blocks it. Beautifully done. Janice stuck up from behind. Queasy with a great follow-up. And oh my gosh, it was so close. But Queasy touches out in the end. EU, Vino, Queasy from first to another first, literally.
From high ground in 6 moving zone, the calculated play pays off. They hold on through and through. This is one team you don't want to give a single advantage to, because you will regret it at the end of the day.
Vino and Queasy are showing us why they are cut above the rest, and they're looking good while they do it. The ability to capitalize on pulling that north zone is just making it look so easy for them. Let's get caught up here.
I'm joined now by your Game 7 winners. It's Queasy and Vino! What an incredible way. We talked about this only a short time ago about coming in at like a strong start here, Vino, and you have done exactly that with an incredible endgame finish.
Yeah, I know. It's unbelievable. Hopefully we can still close it out. We're feeling good. Maybe we should get a bit more kill. 4-kill win, but we're feeling good.
We saw some of the teams around you managing to score a lot of points as well. Were you conscious of that going through, or were you focused simply on the task at hand, which was seeing that out and getting the victory royale?
We're just focused on playing our own game and winning the game. That's it. Like, brand new day, brand new everything.
Well, it was a great start to proceedings and a great start to this competition on day number 2. Let's get back to Zeke and the desk.
Shout outs to you, Adam. Thank you so much. And massive shout outs to Queasy and Vino. We interviewed them at the end of yesterday, and they said, we want to take a moment. We need to go back. We need to review a couple things and come back stronger tomorrow. What a better way than just go ahead and win the game. I mean, to come out and in zone 2, be zone favored, to be sitting in zone on height, basically max materials, basically max heals. They're not going to lose.
They're unstoppable, Zeke. We saw it yesterday, and I don't know what's going on. Another North Zone for this duo with the potential they have, how confident they are, how well they play. We saw it going into the late game. I think it was Queasy almost had 12 splashes, almost max materials, and they knew exactly how to capitalize on an advantage like that, and they did it perfectly.
You know how they knew how to capitalize? Game number 5, the zone was almost in the exact same place yesterday.
Yep.
Today, it's in the exact same place again. It's just deja vu. It's Groundhog Day for these teams that are playing it. And of course, Queasy and Veno, it's the same outcome. What I noticed about them doing really, really well there was in second moving zone, they actually switched to metal. Now, that's the time when most teams are going to be using wood. They're going to be running out of steam because they used all their hard mats earlier on. Queasy and Veno are different. They know how to play high ground. The most turnover of height happens in second zone, and they were reinforced in metal. Little something to pick up on in that gameplay.
I'm telling you, it's just one of those things, right? They kind of take that step back and they say, wait, remember, this is an invitational. We got to be on point. We can't make those small mistakes. And of course, they come out strong. Thomas HD and Trippin as well. We watched the top 3. They have not budged.
Look, I got scared for a moment watching Thomas HD and Trippin. They went up against Baka and On1. You can actually see it happening here, and that was a close one. One of them, I believe it was Thomas, no, it was Trippin who got knocked down here, leaving Thomas alone, but he did a huge amount of damage before getting knocked and was actually able to escape and get picked up again, which allowed them to get those points that they needed.
Yeah, it was absolutely valiant from Trippin there as well. If he'd have just gone down without taking out one of the opponents there, he wouldn't have been able to get res, right? That was a crucial amount of damage that he did right there, and it allowed Thomas HD to have that freedom to get the revive. I didn't think they were going to make it through this endgame. Their surge were looking pretty bad, particularly for their zone position here. Of course, they're landing at the Rave Cave. They have all of the map mobility in the world to get there. It did require a nice little solo clutch from Thomas HD, who is synonymous with solo clutch.
Consistency, consistency, consistency is what this duo is showing. Yesterday, they got more than 20 points in every single match. Also, top 15 in every single match, and today they're looking to do the same.
That's right. Well, guess what? These are just some of our insights. Vivid is actually standing by on the stage. Let's hear what he has to say.
Yes, of course. Listen, I am feeling for the players right now. We saw them hit the socials. They were complaining about all these North Zones yesterday. What are we going to start with here again today? Another Northern Zone. Now, I wanted to kind of explain why some of these pro players are having such a hard time with this. Well, first of all, it's going to be all about Tilted Towers and the blimp that we can find there. Look what this position is doing around it. There is not a single arrow under this blimp, and what it does is it's going to force this funnel on the right side and the left side of it. So as they're making this rotation all the way up to the northern side of this map, they're all just rotating together, right? It's looking like the Mr. Beast X Fortnite line over there for these burgers. Absolutely incredible. And then when the zone actually ends up closing in, they're all just on the southern side of this, and it's so congested that it makes it so hard for any of these teams to consistently handle this if you are coming from the southern side of the map. But of course, Queasy and Veno landing up there. They do take that victory route. Congratulations to them. That being said, let's kick it back over to the desk.
Thank you so much, Vivid. Fantastic breakdown there. I did want to take a moment to highlight some of the other duos we did see kind of performing well. Zeet, KBR, they finally find themselves in that top 15 and hold and fall in 5th place. Now remember, we don't need the Victory Royale to climb the standings. We just need to be consistent.
Look, I love to see this duo performing well. The audience loves it. I hear the cheers when they're getting Elim after Elim, and now being bumped up to 4th place, seeing that this is the 4th finals they are playing together. This duo coming from being the champions of Chapter 3 Season 2. Zeet being an all-star champion as well, to now on the main international stage performing. You love to see it.
Yeah, we talked about it at the beginning of the show, right? Can these teams pick up where they left off after day one? And Zeet and KBR were one of those teams that ended the day better than they started. Their final 3 games yesterday, they had one of the most points out of all of the teams, and they're picking it up once more.
That's right, another duo, PH Zin, Kitos, also alive there in the top 15. So real Brazil, they're showing up huge today. I feel like another duo that we actually got to see first time. They're kind of still under the radar. Vidil and Janice, they've been relatively quiet, but they did make top 5 in this last game. So what are we kind of hoping to see out of this duo?
Look, they adapted. I saw Janice on social media yesterday. He was like, I don't know what to do. I'm landing in an uncontested spot. The zones are pulling north. I don't have time to get enough surge. I don't have time to get enough damage. I need to change something. And clearly, Janice and Vidil changed something, because they got 2nd place now going into today. It's a huge match for them.
Yeah, they were doing great. I saw Vidil just doing a little bit of vault as well, and he's really making changes.
Man, a lot of these players, they know today is the day to bring it all. But as we prepare for Game 8, let's go hang out with Monster D-Face and Jacob to get things started.
Thank you so much there, Zeke. Yeah, we really get to pick things up. It's looking like we're closing into a runaway train potentially.
Yeah, potentially it is so, but there's still 5 games left on the day. For some of these teams, right now, game number 8 is their chance to close the gap on that leaderboard and fight for the chance to call yourself the FNCS Invitational Champion.
Well, at this point, if I'm a team, I don't care where I'm landing, I'm going to maybe think to myself, hey, let's slide on north. Let's play the upper side of this early rotate. How do we get to those general areas sooner rather than later? Well, now we get to find out, folks. Here we are. Game number 8 is kicking off.
Yep, got a little bit of a different bus path yet again. I'm liking the little bit of variety that we are coming out with. And for some of these teams, we're going to see a little bit of Fort Jones, Eclipse and Duke, Peak and Anas. Almost all day yesterday, they completely split the POI, went their 2 separate ways, and that's how they were able to get the spot they did on the leaderboard.
That's right, and also Jamper and Peterbot on that coast having a tough time.
Yeah.
Contested pretty much for very little loot, not much to work with, and that is the difference maker sometimes when you have your route being imposed on. It's not all about taking head-to-head engagements, it's also about what you lose out on.
Yeah, because you also got to remember, there is 7 different regions being represented right now. Some of these guys are the top dog in their region, and they're not contested on the usual. So this is a new feeling and a new thing for some of them to have to work through, as Cammy and Seti yet again trying to get that early surge down as Larson and Smite taking control of the entire house over at Grimm's Gables. A split spot coming out from Muzz and Looter. But you got to watch out if you're being this split against a team that is this active in Larson and Smite.
I did not expect Miro to fall so early, but it looks like Kanata might have found himself a free knock in the air. As now we get to look over at Chapix and Tayson. The rotate out for Aqua, losing his teammate right now. Reason is down, and Aqua, I can just feel the desperation. The look on his face tells it all, man, as they are communicating with one another. What went wrong?
See Seti and Cammy join Aqua and Nyrox as the only players with multiple VRs in an international event. That is absolutely impressive as these two teams closing the gap between each other. They want that off-spawn exchange, and for Muzz and Looter, they want revenge. They want redemption for what they've been going through the past 7 games.
That last game was a great one for Smite and Larson, officially jumping their way back up into the top 5. So if Muzz and Looter play spoiler here, it'll be a huge landslide moment for Smite and Larson. They can't afford that. Lovely for them to disengage and play this one out. Trooper and Thomas HD so far, for me, the play of the day has to go to them. They have managed to turn that last game around with nothing. Arguably, probably one of the worst positions we'll see them in over the course of the day.
And they had one of the most performances yesterday, almost 20 points in all 6 games. No other team had even 10 points in every game. So you got to imagine how that really puts them on the confidence scale coming into day number 2 as Joe and Z Andy are going to have a little bit of a North pool yet again. It's going to be on the eastern side this time around, so for some of these teams, it's going to be a little bit of an easier game, but some of them, it's going to be equally as hard as the last.
I'm happy we have to jump in with KBR here because Z is down. We saw that exchange happen in the feed there. Remember, they are not completely clear here at the Lustrous Lagoon in this general area. They do have tons of players that land in this general area. Runa and Peppo being a few. Chimp up at the north side alongside Scram being another set of duos, right? So that is very much a contested area, and now he has to play for the save.
Yep, on board, Queasy and Vino. One of 2 teams in this event that has 2 victory royales so far in this tournament, and you're seeing how they're getting the job done. Going from balloon to balloon, the high ground, getting the surge, surveying the lobby is absolutely important. This is such a synergistic duo that cannot be stopped at the way they're going right now.
I don't want to call it too early, but
hey,
the zone is leaning north. Is it going to end somewhere up there? Yes or no?
No. I want to bet against it. I want to bet against it because some of these teams have been just going through the ringer with those north zones. I'd be okay with an eastern one, giving some of our teams on that just a little bit of a chance to kind of climb up that leaderboard. But a team that doesn't need a chance because they take it by force is Wox and Robob Kebab. They're one of my favorite teams simply because of Robob's name.
Yeah, you say it all the way through every time. I have to. I don't have the heart to risk it. Bailey and Alex in a box fight right now versus Yusri and Ju. This is a long-awaited fight. It's been happening all weekend long. They're one of the few teams that have been contested, but not have really turned their winning fights into anything big in the end game, right?
It's huge. Just wave Ju and Yusri not backing down here. This is a fight that I think kind of settled every single game yesterday. Or at least I'd guess so, between Alex and Bailey, Ju and Yusri. But Alex and Bailey, I was kind of talking to them. Anybody in this tournament, realistically, including them, can pop off at a moment's notice. You just have to find a way to do it while staying consistent at the same time, and they want to go ahead and get this elimination. They want to go ahead and fight this so that way they can get the surge that they need so they don't have to worry about it later on. Because unlike every regular FNCS of the past, our contested teams this side around are actually having very good tournaments.
I think what we're seeing right now is stage pressure kicking in. I had a lot of time to kick up, really catch up and get to know Alex and Bailey in the lead up to all of this. And what they've managed to tell me is they were winning most of their creative head-to-heads. So I think when it comes down to raw skill, Alex and Bailey might have the edge over Ju and Yusri, who are newer formed duo in finals style settings. That's kind of what's happening here. Let's go and catch up with Miro, though. What's going on with him down south?
Yeah, him and Booga, I've been wanting to see more of. This is a legacy style event for them. And already they're switching it up as Miro finding an early elimination onto Bevies. And that was a thing for them. They had such north poles, they weren't able to get the surge, so they had to go hunting just like so many other players in the lobby. And you're not really able to control your game if you're just forced to go for surge game after game.
That's right, but luckily for him, he does find a little bit of success there. An elim is huge, especially considering he can go ahead and rotate sooner rather than later. Thomas HD, Tripper, taking their destiny into their own hand this time around, really turning up the action. This is learning from your previous game. They do not want to find themselves in another Storm Surge position where they have to fight for Surge.
You can see that Thomas having more points as a solo than any other player in EU. But to me, that's not too surprising, because we talk about his accolades. We talk about how legendary of a player he is. He just needs to seal that deal with an FNCS championship, and he could really cement himself as one of the best players of all time.
And you can see he also led all damage on day number 1, really earning that respect there. You didn't believe it before. Seeing him do it in person is exceptional. As Seti and Cammy, we can speak to the same accolades. What a great duo here. Just really strategizing all the way through, playing so well so far, and continuing the trend. Last game, not so bad, right? They did enough to maintain the pace there in 3rd place.
That's where Tayson and Chapix, you can see a lot of those Cloudy Condos teams not able to get a ton of damage to put themselves up for a good mid game. But right now, they already took down Macwood, looking to go back-to-back and take down Kanata as well. They are hot on the heels. They don't want to let this one escape. The damage continues. The pressure is just insurmountable right now as Kanata is just trying to survive. Luckily for him, a couple of players joining on the fun. The tags come in from a third party. That's going to allow Kanata just a few seconds to try to stabilize against this European powerhouse.
Kanata and Macwood are uncontested at their drop, so they're playing with fire right now as they pull south to the edge of the zone here to see what they can make happen. But Kanata riding his way around the builds right now. You can see Tayson now jumping onto all the loot. Some of it was already scavenged through, so Kanata should have the reboot card there. If the distance shots come in, that could be Booga and Miro at the hill there. As we know, this is their area. They do play those outskirts. They will not rotate early to center. It's not how they do it.
Kanata's just trying to stay alive right now on the edge of zone as well, so it's not even going to be a storm fight when it comes down to it. So Chapix and Tayson do exactly anything they want, and you can kind of see KBR, Zeet, 4th place. They go down in this one. That's not where you want to be, but the fight continues, and Kanata is doing an absolutely fantastic job fighting back against one of the best teams in the region of EU.
Let's see it. Chapix looking for the wall here. Kanata demanding respect, but gets punished first. 72 was a huge shot from Chapix there. And the edit comes through. He fights back. This is what pro players do so well. And Tayson still, against all odds, will turn that one around, but it was looking so dicey.
Yeah, unfortunately for Kanata and Macwood, that's where that consistency of yesterday kind of comes to a halt, but there's still a couple more games on the day. They can climb back at any moment.
That's right. Let's get a quick update from Taco on how things are going.
been a lot of action taking place over in the Tilted Towers area as well throughout this game, but absolutely wanted to highlight the way that Acorn and Edgy have just managed to split their teamwork responsibilities. You've got Acorn just spending all of his time securing the loot, securing resources for this duo. Meanwhile, Edgy, he's making sure to take care of their surge management the entire while he's just posted up on high ground, looking everywhere he can for as many tags as possible so that their rotations can be as free as they need it.
And those are the strengths of Tilted Towers. Center location, it doesn't matter where the zone goes. They have a strategy that has been so solid every single time. And again, as we gave you guys the updates, top 5 has changed as 4th place is now out of the competition. You see there the slight misplay from KBR. He tries to throw down a Chug Splash, but unfortunately sends one into the bush. And look at that, gets eliminated there by Wax and Robob. And the reaction, that's a tough one there because, again, they were doing very well pacing in Game 8.
Yeah, just hopefully right now, mentally, they realize that they can still do very, very well. They can still jump up a ton of placings in the next couple of games. You just have to buckle down. You can see the TSM duo far below. But now I want to go over to Larson and Smite. Is this the longest either one of these teams have not only been alive, but been in Grim Gables as well? But at the end of the day, they want to fight. And that fight they will get. And between Larson and Smite, they have a little bit of that high ground. They're only team contested in the top 5.
At this point, I don't even know if they know it's Looter and Muzz. How do they? You really... like, how do they? It's been happening for so long. Maybe they walked away and came back, said, hey, is this another duo? But no, it's just Larson. It's just Smite, it's just Muzz, it's just Looter. And now out of material, Larson trapped up. Box like a fish, almost. Smite turns it around though, 2v1. They try to swing in and it's not looking good. They are hurt. No HP, low material count. It's down, goes Smite. Larson sneaks out the side there. And Muzz catches the first elimination and the siphon is enough to get some mats there.
That's huge. That's huge for them, for their comeback attempt. Get as many placements as possible, but there's a couple other teams that are stacked up here as well, and it does look like the surviving member of that duo got out alive for a moment, but he cannot go back into the storm. Otherwise, he will get eliminated by somebody else.
And Thomas HD gets those 2 points. That can be a difference maker. 3 points for Thomas HD and Trippin, who are on the heels of Vino and Queasy, but now 4th place is down. 5th place is down. The top 3 have more of a runway to start ramping up here. King and Ed, though, under shots here. They are making the rotate. It's Avery and Commandment who's up above. Low on material count as well. King has to box up.
Yep, another team towards the north side of the map, on the western side as well, that has a little bit of a pull to go. I don't want to say I called it, but I wanted that little bit of an eastern side. We don't want to go all the way north anymore. We want to give a huge fighting chance as Sentin and Cole. They're just a below surge, but barely below as they're continuing to find the tags, trying to get themselves above. Just like that, it appears. They did just enough damage, but for them, that's not a feeling of comfortability at all. They know their job is not done just yet, and that's why they keep surveying the field.
That is right. Great tags here. Center is going to find down low. This is where you need to really hit your shots. When your team is just on that line of danger, when the storm surge is looming, and when the pressure is on, who can go ahead and put up the numbers that matter most? Noah Riley, bad sniper, very low on HP, not even pausing to go ahead and heal one another instead. Pushing on in. That's the Japanese duo right there. Zagu and Mareem, they are champions of Asia, the most recent FNCS champions of their region. You have to put respect on their name. And these EU boys are learning very quickly as to why you don't walk up to that wall.
Yeah, and they're actually one of the teams that have some of the best performances when rebooting a player. They got a 25th place finish. They got a 2nd, but Noah Riley doesn't care. He gets tagged up. Dagu gets dropped as well. Both these players living on a prayer, but the Asian powerhouse team do it again. Let's get loud for Japan.
Representing for Japan, we love to see it. It's a jammed house here in North Carolina. We love to see these teams stepping up under the lights, under the action. Thomas HD Tripper doing that as well. Look at how they adjusted from game 1 on this day, from game 7 to game 8 now, right? All of a sudden now, they are so far above with the damage.
But historically, when it comes to Thomas HD and Trippin, I will say they're a second half team. They're a second day team. Historically, they just perform better when their back is up against the wall. And hopefully, for NA East, hopefully for North America altogether. Acorn and Edgy can have that same fire. You talk about them being in 4th place on the day. It was only because they had a bad game 2. They had a 0-point game 2 yesterday. Other than that, they were among the top 3 in performances at the second half of the day. If they can continue that here early, they will be on the run to the race.
Vino's going to find Hellfire in the feed there. That's going to be a huge refresh for him, but Kitos and PHZin holding on to dear life right now, just edging on the top 10 here as far as overall points go. Last game they were in 4th, they slipped way on down, and this time it seems like the Storm Surge has ran a number on them. Now let's take a look at the current game leaders. Rotates there, Cammy and Seti being a few of the bulk that are still in this one, finding themselves pretty much dead center here. Now remember, if there's any zone you want to be in the middle, it's zone 3, as it gives you the highest odds to pull that 4th one. Yeah. Beyond that, it's anyone's ball game.
And the interesting thing about Cammy and Seti and the way they're playing this weekend is historically, we've talked about it in the desk to kind of start the day yesterday, they're not an aggressive team. Even though they're in a top placing team, they're usually on the low, but right now, another top placing team on the leaderboard, Joe and Zandy trying to get busy. Malibuka goes down. Merstash is by himself, trying to live with just a sliver of HP as Joe wastes no time trying to get to the box, but Zandy goes down to the storm. 1v1 situation. Peace Control goes right back over to Merstash. He peeks through at the wrong time. Huge tag, back to back by Joe to get the double elimination.
And we love to see it. It's usually your friends that turn on you, Joe. Z Andy against Malibuka and Merstash. Tough one right there, but they will be the EU team on top in that engagement.
This Queasy and Vino team that's sitting comfortably in 1st place as Booga taking down clicks in the feed. And that's what we want to see. We saw Miro getting a little bit busy earlier. Now we're seeing Booga start to get active. This team is beginning to come online. And for a team as dangerous as they are, they have never placed out of the top 3, Monster, and they want to keep that accolade intact.
It's going to be a tough one, though. They will have to continue to turn up. But Vico is in a fight up against Zagu and Mareem, and he will turn things around. Vico had the biggest game closer yesterday of any other player on the day. This man is an animal.
Dangerous as can be, and you can see Pink and Anas. Very, very similar situation. Top of the mountain, they got some traveling to do. A few teams around them as well, but they're just trying to figure out where the rest of the teams actually went. So right now, they're trying to figure out what that slow side is.
Let's see it. Joe by himself. Z Andy picked apart on the rotate. No heals for Joe. What a tough spot to be in, but hey, at least he has Chrome Splashes for the rotate. It's gonna be tough. We're holding our breaths. I'm sure he is as well. You can see he's just biting his lip, looking around like, oh man, I gotta time this perfectly.
When do I move? When do I go? That's the question he's asking himself second after second. As Thomas and Trippin, 271 above the damage threshold. Not much to go, but they want to get there as fast as possible. In a zone like this, you want to get yourself that sweet spot, and it looks like they're going straight for the high ground.
Don't overcommit here. Shield Bubble comes down to protect themselves. This will allow the builds to get to max HP, and now they can start to read the room. It's Epic Whale. That's not an easy duo by any means, but no, high ground cannot be claimed. There's still some natural terrain off to the side there. They have to weigh their decisions. Thomas HD, so much better in this game here, looking so much better. Trippern as well.
I like this view of the lobby right now because it really shows us how stacked that right side actually is. We're gonna probably see some teams launch pad early if they do not get the zone, as Hijo Belusi picking up a couple on the Brazilian duo of King and Ed. You see Epic Whale, a player that usually is lighting up the leaderboard, having a couple struggles, but he is too a second half team. A lot of these teams are known with their backs up against the wall to come up big.
Acorn and Edgy might have found some points there. That is huge, but no, it's just going to be taxed. Oh, actually, yes, yep. Edgy will get the Elim credit there. That's going to effectively push them over. Cold and Scented, they have done enough to go ahead and continue to trade that 7th and 8th place position. The top 10 is extremely competitive here. Booga, Miro, 4 eliminations. What a massive swing of points here.
And they're just continuously looking for the shots all around. finally finding that comfortability here, finally finding some sort of stride to work with. And you can see the chili chug splashes coming out, and that's how they're going to try to rotate across while all the other teams are stuck in that mess on the side. They did just enough damage to weaken one team to try to put them the focus of that lobby.
Vino and Queasy already positioned up at the north side here. Here comes another launch pad. It's down, and the heals are looking excellent for this duo, but the material count halfway. They will have to fight for a refresher. Vino is going to get tagged by Refsgaard there, and he loses his shield as well. And now split from Queasy. Queasy bases out wide here to put up a front on high ground. It's Scram and Chimp who land outside of the Lustrous Lagoon, all of a sudden trying to turn us around. Edgy is down. Acorn by himself. World of trouble, and he goes down to Avery from the side there.
That is huge because they're having a pop-off game right now. Seeing Commandment getting a few eliminations already. Chimp and Scram finding success here on the day. They had a top finish yesterday. They're looking to replicate that some way, shape, or form. But Vino, Queasy, you know what time it is. 5th into 6th moving zone. This is where they typically try to go for that high ground and hold on to it for the rest of the game.
Most of top 10 that we started this lobby with is now down and out, but you know who is consistent is our remaining first 3. Vino, Queasy, Thomas HD, Tripper, Seti, and Camis are still in this game. And somewhere amongst all that, you have the solo Joe, who was just picked up, and now Vico, one of the only few who can actually jump back into this.
If anybody can do it and pick up some big placement points, it is going to be him. And if you look at his inventory, he has that recipe for success. Queasy, Vino, just looking for that information. Like I said, they're right now looking, is high ground take going to be possible? As they're spotting all these players around, figure out who is moving, where to go is Tripper and Thomas. 33 below the damage threshold. They're going to launch pad, get ahead of zone, and as soon as they do, even though they're not in zone, they're going to be looking all around them to try to find the tags that they need.
The best part of what we're watching right now is the preparation, the hard work, and all of that coming together here for the EU trios or duos at the top right now. Because at the end of the day, we know they put in all the work. Vino is going to find Reet and then crank his way up to high ground, and all of a sudden, he is trying to go for a back-to-back. They might just be the most winningest team of the FNCS Invitational at this rate.
Back-to-back games, 6 moving zone. They take the high ground with a well-paced launch pad, but Scented and Cold, they find 2 eliminations on their way to the end game. And if they could just make it that far, they're trying to stay ahead of zone, trying to find some elevation to work with. But Chimp and Scram fighting for the high ground against Queasy and Vino. And Vino right now doing a great job building high enough to shut down that opportunity.
Queasy's gonna meet him there as well. And look at this, it's gonna cost him a ton of material. So it's not over yet. Launchpad comes in, and there it is. He almost gets boxed out. And Queasy and Vino have to give up the high ground. Vino drops down, takes some fall damage here, and the defense, it's Chapix, it's Tayson on height, out of nowhere.
And while all this action's going down in the mud towards the low ground, Booga and Miro found 2 more eliminations. They're continuing to light things up as Andalix finding 1. Vino finds another on Robot Kebab before going down. Queasy left by himself, no build, just a few bandages. This man is trying to make miracles happen. Looking towards the backside of zone, he gets shut down by Pablo.
And it's actually a time for Thomas and Tripper to catch up. Finally, this powerhouse duo is out of the lobby, but will they step up? Can they make do and take advantage of the fact that they cannot earn any points? Tripper is still alive right now. No team's getting taken out, but no, he's hurt, and he goes down. He does not manage to find anything. What's left is Seti and Kama. What's left is Booga and Miro here, but Miro's down for elimination. This is where he needs to perform best, and to the hands of Seti, Miro has fallen.
And right now, this is just an unorthodox way to take that top spot for Cami and Seti to where they weren't as aggressive coming into this event. This is the most aggressive we have ever seen a team like them, and it is paying off tenfold as the high ground switches on over. But the World Cup champion, the solo World Cup champion, is stuck at just that, a solo, trying to stay alive, figure out what the plan is going to be, moving around the left side of zone to where not too many players are at, and the smart usage of the Chrome Splashes as well, denying the opportunity to edit through, but he finds the shots on the Scram, but he gets shot back by Chimp. This is going to come down to that. Chimp takes down Booga. Into the top 10 he goes, though.
And look at Chimp go. Look at the quick edits there as he manages to turn around. Now out of material. It's all or nothing. A quick edit down low as well to keep him in the game here. But the low ground, there's 2, and it's a dangerous 2. It's Scented. It's Cold. They're waiting here as the loot rains down the river. Unfortunately, slips away from them. Seti still alive here, trying to squeeze out as many points as possible, and he works his way on up to the top. Meanwhile, Clown playing upset and and Chapix and Tayson are down. Wax and Robab managed to find 8 eliminations, and it's just Wax on height.
This is going to be a big opportunity for Wax to try to pick up as many placement points as he can as a solo. Same could be said with Seti. Chrome Splash, Bobifying himself and dashing, trying to take the high ground, but a misstep by Golden Scented as well. They both go down to Hen. He is putting on a show to bring them to the top of the leaderboard.
It only takes one game to jump back into this top 10 here, and you're watching players fight for it, putting it all on the line. 9 elims for Wax and Robab, 3 for Clown, who has a little high ground position here over the lobby, but they're still a duo in this game. It's Hen, it's Vortex. They're the only duo alive standing right now. 1v1v2, Clown versus Wax here. Wax is looking up and high, a great jump shot there, and he is down. And now Clown has to take on 2 of the best here on EU. Guild Hen, Focus Vortex. It's not looking good, but it's looking great for Vortex and Hen, and they close out.
They had complete control of that game. From 8 moving zone and all, the last duo alive. Teamwork really making that dream work. And off the back of Hen, that 2 eliminations at the end to get the Siphon, that was the recipe for their success.
And they were just so close to pushing double digits there. A low ground win is not something we've seen, but let's get caught up in a little insight from the pros.
Hello, hello. I am joined here by Vortex and Hen after that incredible game. How you feeling, man?
Pretty pumped. Just gotta keep it up.
I mean, obviously grabbing, what, 8, 9 eliminations in that game. What's the next step for the next game?
Win next game again.
Okay, 2 VRs back-to-back. I love it so much. And obviously, what was the recipe for success there? There was a lot going on all around you guys.
We made lots of mistakes yesterday, and we're trying to come back stronger. So we're trying to fix all the mistakes made yesterday and, win today.
So what were some of the mistakes that you fixed in this day?
Search and rotation.
I love it. I mean, thank you guys so much for joining me here. Congratulations on your win. Can't wait to see what you guys do next game. Let's head on back to the desk.
Thank you guys so much. Hen and Vortex picking up game number 8. And all with 9 eliminations. This is kind of what we talked about yesterday at the end of the day, right? Yesterday was kind of like an initial setup. Let's go ahead and let's fight a few times. Let's play a few games. But today, we really want to bring it. For them to come out in game number 8, basically the second one of the day, this is a really good jump start.
This is where they have to shine, right, Zeke? And they did exactly that in this match. I mean, one of the few victory royales that actually come from down in the dirt, from below, and they made it happen.
Yeah, they already did. And what you noticed from that interview right there, they were saying, of course, they had surge issues yesterday. They had some positional, rotational issues. And this is something that I thought might happen with this duo. They're 2 fraggers ready. They don't really have that lead. They don't have that IGL. I think Hen is trying to take on the role at the moment, but they're 2 fraggers by heart. And I think that overnight sort of VOD viewing session that they must have done has really helped them fix those issues. Because although they may not have that dominant leader in the game, they've been able to look back at their games and think, okay, we're fixing this, we're fixing that, and clearly it's working out.
And just kind of like the holding, right, in reserves there, being almost a game entirely of solos, except this duo. They just kind of held out, right? They're saying, we don't know why, but everyone's fighting all the way around us. Let's just wait it out. Top 3, here we are. Oh, it's a 2v1. Yeah, let's close it out. 9 eliminations, no big deal.
Look, Queasy and Vino were looking for high ground. Tayson and Chapix were looking for high ground. The battle up above was dangerous, and it was actually too dangerous because the duos kept getting eliminated, losing a teammate, ended up with too many solos, where in the end, Hen and Vortexer just made it happen.
And I feel like looking back at the game, Queasy and Vino, they were looking good, right? For a moment, they just, well, for most of the game, they were actually low on builds. And then we kind of blinked, and I was like, hey, there's someone in there. And you guys were like, oh, it's them. Like, no, someone's above them. It's Tayson, it's Chapix. Where did they come from?
Yeah, they were uncharacteristically low on builds in that end game. And I think the main reason for that was when they went for a pad in that half-and-half zone. We saw Vino and Queasy very, very split. Of course, that had to expend so many more materials to not only box up in their own individual boxes, but to get back together as well. I think Queasy may have gone a little bit higher up, and Vino was getting sprayed out of the air, so he had to do a little bit of a little slalom through all the bullets, and he ended up landing down below. So many of those builds were wasted there, and I think ultimately that's what caused them to go down on time.
I mean, it was interesting, but what I also find interesting is kind of the duo in the mist and the shadows, right, that are making their way up that leaderboard. Seti and Cammy, the consistency with the drop spot, it's looking dangerous.
We'll talk more about them in just a moment. First, let's go to Adam, who is standing by. Adam, what you got?
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Zeke. Can I get a huge round of applause representing Brazil? It's KBR and Zeke! Amazing stuff. I'm joined as well by their translator, Gabriel. Gabriel, I'd love to ask Zeke firstly. Currently 6th position in this competition, 4 games left. What's the strategy for the last 4 games?
Então, Zit, você está em 6º lugar do seu time e faltam 4 jogos para terminar. Qual que vai ser a estratégia da agora para frente?
De agora para frente, a gente vai tentar nessas últimas 4 partidas pegar o high com a dica do nosso amigo DK e tentar levar o top 1 pro Brasil. Vamos, Brasil!
So he said we're going to take the strategy of our friend over there, DK, just to go on high. And so let's go Brazil.
Let's go Brazil. And lastly, to KBR as well, can we ask what's it been like representing Brazil in front of these amazing fans here at FNCS Invitational?
Então, KBR, para você, como foi representar o Brasil aqui nesse torneio?
É muito feliz estar representando o Brasil por toda a história minha e do cheat dentro do jogo. E dá pra ver aqui como a torcida é muito grande. Tipo, a gente tá com uma quantidade pouca de pessoas, só que tá dando um grito maior que a da torcida toda.
He said, I'm incredibly excited to be here. And I mean, with all these people, we only have a couple of Brazilians and we're louder than everyone else.
You had it right there. Thank you very much, KBR and Zeke! Let's head back to Zeke at the desk.
Thank you so much, Adam. I mean, what more can you say? Vamos, Brasil! I tell you, this corner right here, they're going absolutely ham. My goodness. Let's kind of focus back up now after this game is done. I want to talk about Sammy. I knew I was going to do this. Cammy and Seti. There it is. Don't worry, my brain just makes up words all the time. Cammy and Seti doing really well there in the middle of the game. But, you know, finding themselves kind of in an interesting position. They had plenty of builds, but it didn't quite help them make it to the end game.
Look, I don't think they're worried, right? They did what they need to do. You can see right now Seti getting elim after elim. He was alone at the end there as his partner. There you go. Cammy went down and Seti was forced to clutch it up, but he got an incredible amount of placements, and they're playing for that crown, and that crown is given to a duo after the 12th match. So they still have time to rack up those points, to play consistent, and to do what they need to do.
And we've seen so many solo clutches from Seti across the seasons. Of course, yesterday doing so the same. And he's sort of becoming into that role in the duo. If Cammy is down, Seti will clutch up. And we saw him using the Chrome Splashes so effectively there as well. Not only blobifying himself and rotating using that, he was also throwing it at enemy builds, which, of course, they can't edit out on him. So right there, it ultimately fell to his elimination. But, of course, he was able to use that so well in so many different ways.
A ton of Chrome Splash tech coming out that I want to spend time in the future talking about, but it's almost that time to begin the next set of games. I will say for me, watching this game has made something very, very clear. These duos are getting way more aggressive. We're seeing way more eliminations coming out of these players, but it is hampering a lot of them, right? When you're like, hey, we have 5 elims. Oh my gosh, I have how many builds? 10? What do we do?
Look, they've also had time now after day one to kind of study a bit more of the exact paths that their opponents have been doing around them and how they can adapt to maybe take those engagements. Janice and Vidil, they were having trouble finding Storm Surge being uncontested, but now they were able to get to the late game in that first match, and they're doing a better job adapting, and that's what all these duos need to do.
Yeah, adaptation is the most important. You mentioned Janice and Vidil, of course. Last night, Vidil was sat in the VOD the whole night looking back at what went wrong. Of course, you mentioned the Janice social media post earlier on as well. They were struggling for those surge positions. Of course, they're synonymous with going on that dead side of zone, and of course, they weren't able to find as many tags. There isn't as much action to the south of them as they may have had last season when, of course, they did win. So it's a little bit rough for them, but there's still plenty of games to go.
That's right. Game 9 is on the way. So, Monster D-Phase, Jacob, over to you.
Let's go ahead and start gearing up here. We have the pleasure of starting to get into the late half. These are what we call the champion rounds. Game 9 will solidify just about the halfway mark for day 2.
Yeah, and you're seeing some of these teams heat up just like that Battle Bus. Monster, you said it. Game number 9 is about to start, and for a lot of these teams, this is the second half of the day. This is the second chance they're going to get here to try to pick up as many points as they can. And for teams like Muzz and Looter, Larson and Spy over towards Grim Gables, they're feeling each other out more and more and more. Last game was the longest it has ever taken, in my opinion, for any team off spawn to finish a fight.
That's right. It was a drawn-out battle for Smite and Larson, a tough result from that as well, as they were one of the first contested duels to actually fall there, which is, again, that is how things change here. It starts affecting the standings and the leaderboards in general. They came in around that, you know, upper 10th position, and now they have allowed others to start to close that gap.
Vico and Marion over towards Reality Tree. Next time around, we get to see how he's doing it. And look at that. He got himself a little parkour spot, knowing exactly what he wants to do in order to get that loot, and that's just quick thinking coming out of him, and you can see why he's quick to act.
What's super interesting is now our top 16 from 4th to 16th has become extremely competitive amongst those standings and those positions. From 1st through 3rd, it's definitely competitive there as well. So we're starting to see a little bit of a divide. Meanwhile, Bugha and Miro affected. Bevies and Vortexer find the 2 early. And they're going to be one of the first duos to fall here in the last game. And it really shows us that teams and duos, regardless of how good you are, you have to put up the numbers, you have to perform. And they are fully contested there now. So as we jump on over to Vico and Mirai, have been playing excellent here. They fought their way up to that 9th place position, coming in with 158 points. Very great performance so far.
What's amazing to see is their loot path right now. They hadn't popped a single shield, big or small, and they got themselves almost 100 shields each, and that's because of Reality Tree and those mushrooms at the bottom that get you about 15 HP or shields. As Smite and Larson, this is the fight that we're talking about, getting tagged up from the sky, that high position, going over to Muzz and Looter, and it's doing them wonders right out of the gate. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with the amount of damage that they got. Do they want to go aggressive and try to take advantage? But you can see in the feed, Mr. Savage and iDrop already getting busy, taking down On1 first, leaving Baka as a solo.
That's right. And lucky for us, we get to tune in with Zagu and Mareem. And this is very cool and also extremely interesting. They have officially switched up their drop spot here on day 2. We have not seen anyone as notable as you know, high placing as them actually try a new strategy, and already they have had a pretty clean start to the day, but they've also slipped down a little further than they would have liked. We jump on over to Retake versus Vico here. Little head-to-head action. First tags are going to come in for Vico. They're looking good. So far, they lead the points here, Jacob, and also the execution very much in their side.
And for all of Vico's great games, it starts here, but a massive tag is going to have him back down in a defensive position where Mariah's going to have to try to figure out a way to alleviate some of that pressure. And you see the sharing is carrying, minis being passed around. Novice going for the piece control. Unfortunately enough, a missed opportunity, but that's not going to stop him from trying again and again and again. He knows the amount of damage he just put on the Vico cannot go to waste.
Now keep in mind, Vico and Mariah are inside the top 10. They cannot afford to fall now. That will have devastating impacts to the standings. And a huge side angle there. Marine is hurt. Forced into the low ground position. Forced to run away from Novice and Retake. They are proving why they were invited to the setting. Meanwhile, Zaku falls to Macwood there with a knock. So the changes, the adjustment, it is heating up in the south zone. It's heating up on the west zone. We have a lot going on right now.
I don't know if they just saw him, but Macwood could not have jumped on him from Shimmering Shrines all the way to one of the highest spots on the map. As Bad Sniper taking down both the NA West duo Pars and Raze. So you said it before this one. Action is heating up rather quickly here on day 2 as teams look to take control of their own destiny. But another prolonged fight as Mariah and Vico trying to catch Novice off guard. The shots to come through, that actually saved Vico's life, even though it wasn't a ton of damage. That would have allowed Novice to keep going.
Buys him some time here, and this is why he took those zip lines out the side there, trying to find these new angles. There's something so special about watching high-tier players navigate the map. Very much a strategy type of situation, type of game, when you really break it all down. But Ryan and Vico are going to go ahead and settle down now, as they need to go ahead and recuperate all of these lost resources. So was it worth it, right? Was it worth it? On average, you need around, I don't know, 400-600 damage, right? Around that range, around that first Storm Surge area. Hey, they've managed to do enough, but can they climb back loot-wise?
They can keep finding those shrooms to regenerate as much of the health as possible. It could definitely prove to be worth at the end of the day, because it's not going to expend any of their utility in order to regain it back.
What do we think about this? Larson and Smite leave the drop. They say, all right, Muzzlooter, you got it. Last game was solid. You can have Grim Gables. I'm getting out of here.
But it almost looks like they left TSM Duo trying to go ahead and still put the damage onto Muzz and Looter, as Z, Andy, and Joe floating in all the way from Synapse Station, trying to put the Tiki tags onto Kanata, and that's going to be his shield disappearing right before our very eyes. But ultimately enough, the Cloudy Condos teams, who lack damage very early on, beginning to put in their own tags. Everybody right now feeling the pressure of the leaderboard to try to get active, to try to pick up as many points as possible and close the gap.
See the look of focus on Z Andy's face here, as he's got a lot of things to think about. Players to the left, players to the north. Very tough spot to be in. Acorn on the other side. Acorn and Edgy still housed up in their position. Remember, Noah Riley is here, but Edgy is down, so Acorn left to try to play this one out by himself right now. He is in 7th. Second highest placing NA East team currently alive in the lobby. Scented has done enough to go ahead and perform, while Acorn is just behind them.
And right now, this time around, a little bit of a switch up when it comes to that zone from northeast. Looking like we're getting a little bit of a southwestern zone for some of these teams. And Cold and Scented, they spotted that one right away. They moved a little bit south, trying to take that position towards Tilted Towers, where you know a lot of teams are going to try to travel through to try to get their own spot in the zone. So that's a good opportunity for them to try to pick up as much Storm Surge damage as possible. As Thomas Trippin having such a fantastic day number 2, but that should be no surprise to anybody. Like I said, the history shows that they're a day 2 team.
I'm a bit concerned about this position here, though. This is very much reminiscent to the Game 7 positioning, where they took their time, played high ground. Yes, it's more textbook as they split up, but professional players are very much not willing to rotate through those open areas. Meanwhile, Commandment and Avery also hoping for the same, playing the high ground of the Rave Cave. You can see not a team in sight. It's very, very tough to play those positions out.
Yeah, I would love to see them to kind of switch up their spot, because right now, they should know there's not too many teams above them. And the zone being on that edge, it's going to be a little bit of a slower side, slower opportunities, but Peterbot and Jamper trying to pick up some own opportunities for themselves, trying to make that sneaky play all the way from that far eastern portion of the map, slowly but surely trying to close in on some of these Cloudy Condos teams that are trying to go ahead and get their resources, because you know as well as I do, this has been a little bit of a split between all 3 European teams.
If you're looking for a highlight, we might just find one. We are just moments away from something big unfolding, and Murstache and Malabuka know better, but on the other side, there's another fight too. Moraine and Vico, top 9. Such an important fight. We have to see if Moraine can actually clutch up for his teammate. Yes, he will drop down and get on top of Vico's body. He doesn't even box him up because he doesn't have enough resource to do it. He would rather save it in case he has to fight his way out of this one. Falconer and Hellfire managed to execute a big elimination here, and now are extremely curious as to whether or not Moraine is nearby.
I think Scented and Cold just took out the NA West 3-time champions, Favs and Snacky, on their own way to the journey. Peterbot taking down Murstache as well. Everybody really trying to prove their own path. They don't want to have anything other than their own decisions really find out if they're going to make it to the top or not. But this one continues as Malabuka's trying to stay alive here as a solo. Peterbot and Jamper don't want to let these points go to waste. They know the Storm Surge here is so important to them, including those points on their way to the top.
Peterbot refuses to end this day in last place. He wants to fight for more points. Yesterday was a very, very tough showing for them. And now, what can they do? What can they earn? Jamper's going to get hurt there, but he does close out in the end versus Malabuka. And that ambush pays off.
Yep. Looter, Muzz, spotting out Vino, trying to put their own damage there from the distance. Along with Queasy. For them, it's not too much to worry about. That is huge. That's a huge opportunity. As Robab Kebab also goes down to Andalex, this is an opportunity for everybody to take control of their destiny. Queasy, Vino, box to box, wall to wall, taking that peek, and a great attempt on the Looter. Unfortunately enough, didn't find its shot.
Now, Muzz and Looter, the difference between this fight and their early game battles is they actually have had time to fully loot out Grim Gables. Vino is great. He shows us what he has. He puts a huge shot onto Looter. Mind you, this is our first place current team leaning into Game 9, taking an extremely risky battle close to the edge, but he is not fearful at all. Vino's gonna swing around, look for the angle to back up his teammate. Muzz opens the box, but nothing just yet.
He's going to be important in a fight like this as Vino finds yet another tag onto Muzz.
It's textbook. That's what you do. Right camera peeks. He's playing it very smart, taking his time. He knows what he's doing. Take a look at how he's trying to control the terrain as well. Muzz doing just that as well. But Muzz is playing off his left side right now, so he does have to be extremely cautious. Looter fully commits in. He tries to take on Queasy, but Queasy is quick. He defends. Doesn't even get touched.
Yeah, this is a good trade of damage for both these teams, but it is a prolonged fight. You see another team closing in on the distance. Want to join in on this fun, especially if they don't have enough points. They're trying to close the gap as well. 266 below the damage threshold, but not for long.
Things are going to update now. Vino and Queasy looking solid here. They understand they are good and they do not need this fight currently. And now they look for the disengage as they manage to not push over Muzz and Looter. Muzz and Looter have such an interesting history of how extremely respected they are, especially as it pertains to Muzz's mechanical skill and Looter's accuracy. So a wise decision there. They may not have a lot of points, but in that setting, I think they're probably on top.
Yeah, and as we find out, the zone is actually going to be a good zone for a good portion of the lobby to have their fighting chance here. And this one is Cammy and Seti. Honestly, if you watch the beginning of their games, you almost get that feeling, am I watching the same thing? Am I watching the same game over and over? Because when it broke, you don't have to fix it. And Cammy and Seti's early game is one of the best. And that's why they're currently in third place, only 21 points out of first.
See Andy, Joe FN already on the move. Very reminiscent of what we've seen before, these extremely late rotates. Somehow, though, they've managed to consistently find tags, so Surge hasn't been too much of an issue for them. Love this here. Finding some leftovers over at the Vault, a launch pad as well. Big decisions to be made here. Do they use it now or do they save it for later? Take it for the road? No, instead, they're going to go ahead and look for tags.
And this is going to be interesting to see what they're finding as we see Acorn as a solo here. I did see him go down in the feed. We're seeing how it's happening. He had a fighting chance, but Noah Riley, one and done, sends him back.
Did you see his face? He just blinked, turned stiff. He was not having it at all.
He was even impressed by that shot.
He was shocked.
He was shook even right there.
You know, they say life comes at you fast, and that's one of those moments there.
It is, though. It is. Can you believe we're already in Game 9? I feel like we're going in fast forward right now, and a lot of these teams are following that same pace. And jump on board one of the best EU teams here in the lobby, suffering to Storm Surge. Trippin is actually going to go down, 23 below. Thomas, he's trying to do everything he can to find the damage.
What a huge, huge engagement happening here. There's a lot of story unfolding. PH Zin is hurt as he finds one. Kitos is going to go ahead and slide on in after the knock off the Trippin, but they get up. PH Zin slides in. We just saw that happen before our eyes, and now Thomas HD gets the opportunity to honestly try to play for a clutch here, but it's not going to be easy as PH Zin and Kitos have already said in their interview, all they are here to do is make Brazil proud, and there's no way they're going to let this one down, and they find Thomas HD.
That was second place. Second place is now down. The aggressive Brazil region trying to rise to the top as Cammy and Seti are now met with Kanata and Macwood. And honestly, I don't think either one of these teams want to stay too much longer here in the zone. They want to try to get themselves that good spot, not too far behind any position right now. But Cammy and Seti putting the shots in from the distance. They know Storm Surge right now might not be a worry, but later on in the game, it might have to be something they think about again.
Pivotal moment right there, finding those tags, giving themselves more time to work with, as they are one of the last teams to have to make this rotate right now. Us casters have the wider look at the map, so we can tell how much is really going on here, and this southern area is looking dicey.
Yeah, Tilted Towers is majority in there. You can get different elevations. You got to be careful when traversing through that. As KBR, you see the elimination onto Peterbot, him and Jamper. Such a good run here on day 2, trying to make a comeback for themselves. bumping up a couple placements, but KBR and Zeet overall have been impressive game after game. Their consistency is absolutely insane, and their game plan, honestly, has proven to be one of the best.
With those set of elims, that now puts them just around that 5th place mark. They're on the heels of Joe and Z. Andy looking to go ahead and wrestle that one away, but the lobby is focusing on them. It's not going to be an easy rotate. The next time we tune in, they might be extremely worse for wears. Larson and Smite also having a problem. Surge is active just soon. 20 seconds away and they're below the surge.
And you're seeing what happens when they don't take that off-spawn fight. Both Muzz and Looter are hunting for damage, and you're seeing Smite and Larson have to do the same, and it's causing them to use a lot of their resources to try to survive this. As you see Reap picking up 2, taking down Threats and Alice, a team forged specifically for this event. As Smite and Larson still trying to peek through every angle that they have, but still below on Surge, not finding that comfortability just yet.
They do know that the body was eliminated there, though, so although no tags, they will find some heals, and that is going to be a difference maker. Full med miss here, but they need tags. They need a couple more. Several players nearby, they all have to also commit. Yusri and Ju are going to be one of the few. Runa and Peppo on the other side of that as well.
They're hearing the shields crack. They're hearing the damage being dealt to Larson and Smite, so they know that they're suffering to Surge, so they're in a good spot. They just need to play defensive and not let this team get any chances.
And it was crazy smart of them not to break the Chrome builds in front of them. They know this team cannot edit, so they start to turn the focus to the other duo in the distance, but now a decision has to be made. There it is.
Huge.
They find a few tags and a down body that will count, and a little moment to breathe here. Now it's either fire or stop and heal, and instead they take the fight here. Smite looking outwards, and these are the crucial seconds right now that they have to think.
So once again, Storm Surge is going to shut off, and right as they were falling, right below it, a lot of those heals, a lot of their resources being used just to stay alive here in this position. So for them, in the back of their minds, they might be trying to look, when can I get a refresh? Where can I get a refresh? Because sooner or later, that is going to be a must if they want to continue their consistency.
Might make sense for them to go ahead and look for another fight, but on the other side, King and Ed are still alive in another situation. They're really starting to heat up today. All of a sudden finding their footing here in the competition. They're around the middle of the pack, just around that top 25 marker. They can still do big things. They can still show up.
Larson and Smite still dealing and trying to survive. Running out of absolutely everything box to box right now against Scram, trying to find out the damage they want. This could be huge and absolutely necessary for Smite and Larson to take him down. And you got to imagine Scram as a solo jumping into a duo's box. He was probably hurting on Surge as well. But even with that elimination, they are still 105 below.
And the biggest elim, Thomas, HD, and Tripper are down and out. The leaderboard will give us the full picture here. Seti and Cammy are now the only team that can start pushing for Vino and Queasy right now, outside of Cold Incentive. Smite, Larson have a bigger problems here as they are looking for Surge. They are looking for a fight. The focus comes in, loses his teammate here, and dips into the stone. Not much to work with. They are going to have to step in. It's all or nothing. Great tags there, but not enough to do any serious damage. Larson is down and out now for the count. That is it. 7th place out of the competition.
And that is exactly why, if you're in a stack lobby like this, falling behind Surge is going to be one of the worst things you could do to yourself. It almost makes you feel like you have no options. You have no control over your game. As Kanata trying to take control of his own. Cammy and Seti as well. 154 above. Even though they're just living in the zone at the beginning of the game, you can see exactly why. And you can see their game planning unfolding right before our very eyes as KBR, 22 HP. Luckily for him, he is above the damage threshold with only a few players needing to go down.
Luckily, this is not Brazil's last hope here. King and Ed are still somewhere alive in this game, but KBR at 22 HP, you have to wonder, he won't be making it too much further. How far can he push the envelope? Vino, Queasy, absolutely executing, putting in an exceptional performance, not just one day, but 2 days in a row here. And if there's a team, if there was a team that everyone was talking about, it was Queasy and Vino leaning into the competition. We had that awesome videos segment where we interviewed the players and asked them, who do you have as the best player here, the player to look out for? Vino was amongst that conversation everywhere.
That was the common denominator. That's for sure, as Lucy and Hydro have that high ground, trying to put damage onto the lobby, and Cold and Scented trying to cement their side of zone, picking up not one, but 2 more eliminations to add to their total, add to their run. As Hen picking up and taking down Aqua altogether. That tag team coming out from him and Vortex proving to be successful. As you can see where the leaderboard squeezes, as Thomas and Trippin went down early on. Cammy and Seti taking away that 2nd place spot. And last game, we talked about it, the same thing, 21 points behind. They have closed that gap. Now they're only 13 points behind Vino and Queasy.
Tough spot to be in here. Like we said, KBR has to push the envelope. He is by himself. What exactly will he do here? Running low on material, just a few builds left as well, so it's only going to get him so far. Commandment, Avery, about halfway through their resources, but looking very much solid. Launchpad's going to come out, but the head bounce, that's going to cancel the strat there, unfortunately for him. Clix is still alive here alongside Duke. They have plenty of heals to work with, but already the lobby focus. He tries to fight his way to the launch pad. This is tough. It's just moments away from being ticked out, and now he's holding on. I don't think it's going to be enough. This is looking like it might be wraps for Duke. He will need an elimination to stay alive here. Desperately running to the zone, and nothing reveals itself to him, and down he goes. But from height to height, Hydro, Belusi are still up top. They are so high up. Yeah, time to get off of this, reposition down later.
Yep, check your watch, because you know what time it is right now. 6 moving zone. This is where typically Queasy and Vino try to make a shot for it, and right now it does look like that one's going to come to fruition yet again. These guys know how to play the end game and take control, but Hydro and Belusi, one of few teams trying to fight for it as well. Macwood and Kanata flying through the sky. They don't want to even contest it. They feel safe towards the low ground in that chaos where it's so many eliminations. Even Clown picking up 2. Commandment going down. Cold gets another one, and Cammy and Seti are just sweet, strolling straight through the zone, finding themselves that sweet spot without too much to worry about.
Hen's got his eyes on Cold. Cold is hurt. Shot from behind, though. He's still on the prowl here. There are many, many duos nearby, and the tracking on Hen is exceptional, but high ground. Queasy and Vino managed to pull through, honestly. The resilience of this team to continue to play for height. They're now just inches away from the finish line at this point as they continue to dominate the lobby.
And look at that. They're going to be able to hold high ground on top of the blimp. They only just have to force one duo and then maybe reach down off as Cold, Scented, working their way through the mud. And that's where it's going to be a treacherous journey as they find themselves front side of zone. That is a recipe for success as Hen, Vortex, all the way back. 6 eliminations, trying to find their way forward. Macwood, Repscar, they're all joining the action.
And let this be a lesson for every player here. It is not over until it's over. Hen was so far out of the competition, and now he finds himself fighting inside of the top 10 here for a spot at big money. But Pink is still alive now. His story is yet to be told, from contested drop now to an end game. Finally, we get to see what Pink is all made of here. Scented and Cold are so alive. 5 elims for them. This is where they play best, the low ground.
They have to be careful, though. That's going with an elevation change. They gotta start it now or never, and a good shot by Noah Riley to take down Reed. Everybody having those struggles. Pink goes down to the storm. Cammy gets credit for that elimination. 2 more points, 6 total overall. Cloud and Repscar trying to meet that total. They get their 6 as well. 4 for Repscar. These guys are lighting up the leaderboard, but the team having free rotation after free rotation. Queasy and Vino pressuring the lobby from the high ground.
They're looking so good doing it as well. Lucy and Hydra trying to get out, and now swatted out the sky. It's over. It's a no-fly zone. And Vino and Queasy are just running away with height. Meanwhile, Scented finds one of the feet there. Scented and Cold might be one of NAE's last hope inside this last lobby. Savage is still alive too, just by himself though, very hurt. Eye drop hunting nearby. Great way to start to turn around here and put a little pressure on the high ground, but it's time there. 111 onto height. Savage demands respect, but Queasy says stop that. It shuts it all down.
perfect opportunity to stagger himself to the backside of zone. Spot's eye drop up, but he continues to drop down low. High ground was taken away by Cammy and Seti. Better late than never as they're forcing everybody down, and they have that free rotation towards the low ground if they want to take it.
This is excellent now. Cammy and Seti have a chance here to close the gap and take back first place. They started it off that way, and they want to remain, but Queasy is still here. Don't count him out. Another set of points, and now it's Cold and Scented versus Cammy and Seti on height, and we also have Janice and Vidil in the mix.
3 teams alive, 6 total players, but Cold goes down, but Janice and Vidil get knocked as well. 1v2 situation, NAEs, the world on Sentence shoulders, but Cammy and Seti going for their 3rd victory royale in the FNCS Invitational. This is how you cement a legacy. All they have to do is close out this game as Sentence trying to take control, trying to fight for the high ground, but it's not enough. EU strikes again with Seti and Cammy taking their 3rd victory royale.
I don't know how they do it, but they have the face of champions. They go ahead, they sit down, and they play this one out through to the end. An emotionalist reaction there as they say, nope, we still have a job to do here. It's not over.
Not over until that 12th game is done and dusted, and that was only number 9. This one is heating up quick as the teams at the top of the leaderboard are trying to take control of everything that they can. They're trying to do everything in their power to not let it slip through, because Monster, at this point in time, nobody at the top can afford a bad game.
That is true. They cannot. As the winners start to take to the stage, we will get to touch base with them one more time this weekend. Let's go ahead and send it on down to the floor to get the update.
Thank you very much, MDF and Jay. Give it up for Cammy and Seti, everyone! We've spoken so many times the last few days. We're almost approaching getting matching bracelets time. This is crazy. Congratulations. What a great way to head into the halftime. Another Victory Royale.
Like, we need to get more.
You need to get more!
Yeah.
This guy's confident. Looking at the last few games as well, you wanted to start this strongly. Seti, you've done exactly that, and you're managing to manage your games exceptionally well. Huh? You're managing your games exceptionally well.
Yeah, thank you so much. We just have to be confident going into the last 3 games, and yeah, good luck to everyone.
Now, looking at the leaderboard as well, obviously we had Queasy and Vino who are very close as well. We now know that this is coming down very... We love a battle going into the last few games. Queasy and Vino are there, a few others too. What are you guys going to be doing in this break now, in terms from a strategic point of view, to prepare yourselves for the last 3 games?
Just chill and wait for the games.
Just wait for the games. Seti, is it going to happen? Could you be FNCS Invitational champions?
Yeah.
Of course they could. Guys, give it up for Cammy and Seti! Let's head back to the desk.
Thank you so much, Adam. Congratulations to Seti and Cammy. I mixed up their names last time because my brain does crazy things. A massive victory out here in game number 9. So right now we are heading into a little bit of a break period. Our duels will be having about 20 to 30 minutes, step away, recollect themselves before the last 3 games. Now for you all at home and of course here, don't forget, stick around, watch till the end of the broadcast for some FNCS news. Now, Vivid, Taco, welcome back to the desk. We got to talk about Seti and Cammy. I would just like to set the stage a little bit for the duo. These guys were stacked all game. They had borderline max materials. Look at the loadouts. They had the launch pads. And I mean, even in the situations where they would have been forced to use them, Vivid, they were just able to just casually navigate builds like it was nothing.
I mean, they're impressing me right now. I'm not gonna lie. You know, day number 1, they did get those 2 victory royales as well. And then this 3rd one, I really wasn't expecting them to get another one, but sure enough, they find themselves on the high ground again. So uncharacteristic. We've talked about it so many times that usually they are not a high ground team. They like to play towards that mid ground, just casually go throughout the game. But no, ending this game with 5 eliminations, which, yeah, that's not too many, especially when we saw Scented and Cold get 10. But again, you know, just realizing that, hey, listen, we're on the international stage and people are making mistakes, and we have to go for the higher ground when we feel like we can.
It's just the fact that despite the level of competition that we see here up against Cammy and Seti, these two still control a third of the Victory Royales for the matches that have taken place so far. That alone is an incredible feat to accomplish here on a stage of this level. And I'd like to think that it really came down to that 7th, 8th zone period where you could really tell that Cammy and Seti, they started to recognize the fact Queasy Vino, they're not really building out as much. They're kind of taking their time. They're working through these high ground layers, starting to see if they can actually find somebody for resources, find a way to refresh themselves. But it was just a beautiful overtake there. And they had enough. They only had 27 builds, I believe, when they first took control of Hype, but sometimes that's all it takes.
I love that they were talking about confidence, right? Finding that opportunity, like you're saying, they were just like, hey, they ain't building on high ground. We have plenty of builds. Let's just rush them. Boom, turns it into a Victory Royale. Mini Miner, you are standing by here during this break period. What you got?
Thank you so much, Zeke. Now let's take a little look at our game number 9 winners, Cammy and Seti. How did they manage to get into the position to win the game? Let's take a little look. As you can see, that is their drop spot, the Cammy split as they call it, and we can have a look at how they're getting their surge off spawn. It was something I talked about on the desk. These guys had a little bit of a problem, right? They were having a few issues with their surge, going down in that first moving more often than not, and it was down to surge. But look at this. They have the balloons to give them that elevation in the center of the map, even staying back into the storm to take advantage of the fight that was going on. We saw Kanada, Macwood, Basil, and Jace going head-to-head. And look at this. Cammy and Seti just thought, you know what, that's free surge. We're going to take that for ourselves. And what's most beneficial about this position is, of course, you can wait late because you have the balloon to rotate in late. This was a risky rotation. I was watching this in the back and I was thinking, oh no, they could get beamed by so many of the teams that were pitched up inside of Tilted Towers. But look at this. Beautiful plays using the buildings to prevent them from getting seen. Not just seen, but also taken out. And that is ultimately what this team are doing. They're really adapting their play style to get that storm surge early on, and they're even staying back in the zone to get those tags and then rotating in perfectly. That's a little look at what Cammy and Seti are doing. How are Thomas and Trippin thinking? Kelly, over to you.
Thank you so much, Mini Miner, joining me here. I have Thomas and Tripper, and I want to start talking about yesterday's games. Just consistency is key, and that's what you showed off, ending off the day with back-to-back 4th place finishes. What was the key to that success?
I don't know, we just played consistent. We had our search and we just played in game, and it was easy from there.
So obviously game 9, not the best. Was surge the issue for you guys there?
Yeah, we didn't get a really good spot, and we couldn't see a lot of players, so we just had a really bad game and we didn't get enough surge.
Well, obviously you guys have 3 more games to go here and you have a little bit of a break. What's going to be the preparation for the second half of the day?
We were just too slow off spawn, like, to get out, and that's just it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you guys are going for consistency. Eliminations, though, don't seem to be a focus for you guys. Why is that?
I don't see a reason to go for dumb kills, so
obviously it's a bit...
We just play our game and try to get placement.
I mean, obviously it's working out for you guys. Even with a rough game 9, you are still in 4th place, so still doing a great job. Thank you guys for joining me here, and we're going to be head on back to the desk.
I haven't watched all of them, only a few.
A fantastic interview there, and of course the raw emotions from the players. We have a very special guest joining us here on the desk during a little bit of a break here. It's none other than Somerset. Welcome.
Thank you.
How have you been enjoying things?
Oh, it's been great. It's just so surreal to see everybody just here together and watching people competing. It's been awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very different atmosphere, right? Like when people are getting eliminations left and right, you're just hearing the fans go crazy.
Absolutely.
Have you heard the Brazilian corner of the the venue right up here? That they're right up here. Anytime you see Quitos,
I have actually. I'm all the way on the other side, and I can hear them all screaming. I love the support. It's great.
You can still you love to see it.
Yes.
Let's take a look at the leaderboard here. We'd love to kind of pick your brain. Somerset, you're one of the best to do it. I mean, one of the toppest tier competitive players. Don't act like we don't watch, because we all know. I want to kind of just get your thoughts here. When we look at this top 10, is there anyone that kind of stands out to you that you're maybe thinking, look, I would really like these guys to do well, or maybe even I want these guys to do better?
For me personally, I've been watching Queasy a lot recently. They've been absolutely dominating. But also I have a couple of friends on the board, like Tripper and Thomas HD. I really want them to do well. And they're all such good players, and there's always something that makes them stand out. So every game, it's just a surprise to see how they play and how they play against one another after they've been doing it for years.
Yeah. How do you keep yourself focused, especially like in a situation like this?
I mean, At this point, you just have to know that when you're in the game, you're in it to win it, and you have to be so focused on the right things, because whether you're an IGL or you're a fragger, there's always a role you're needing to play, and being able to communicate with your teammate properly is so important, especially for moments like these when you're trying to get those impact frags and to just win the entire game, because it takes a lot. There's so many different steps.
Yeah, what all goes into that? Because I know, like, I've watched a lot of you in recent tournaments especially. Like, what role do you play? And then, like, what are maybe just a few things you kind of have to be mindful of when you play that role?
I'm personally a fragger, but I'm always having to make sure I'm calming everything properly, being as quick as I can, constantly staying close with my teammate. Because if you fall back, you can easily just mess up the whole thing.
Yeah, 100%. I know recently, Taco, you got to cast an event that, of course, Somerset was in. How are you feeling about all this? And, of course, Somerset now being here.
I mean, I think it's awesome. Somerset, you had an incredible performance with your team, and I think Vanessa especially, she's got to be feeling awesome with everything that went down. You guys didn't walk away with the win, but at the same time, I still think that it was clearly a strong indicator of the fact that you know exactly what you're talking about.
Thank you.
I don't even stop. No,
I don't know.
no.
Like, I'm just like, stay humble, you know? Like,
Yeah. Of course. How do you feel about, like, seeing all the fans here in person? They're all running around. They're losing their minds. Like, are they just running up to you like, oh, Somerset, I know you. What's up?
I've actually, it's so surreal because I'm trying to, like, walk 10 feet and I've got all these people like, can I take a picture? And I'm like, hi. Like, it's like I'm the one that's more excited than you know what I mean? Like, it's a completely opposite experience for me because it's not what I'm used to. I'm used to streaming at home, looking at the chat go wild. And now I get to put, like, a name to a face and meet all these people that I've known for years and my community that's just been so supportive over the years. It's been
That is amazing. Well, Somerset, thank you so much. We hope you continue to enjoy all of the action. Kelly, I believe you're standing by. What you got?
I am indeed, Zeke. I'm joined here by Joe and Zandy, the current 8th place team right now in top 10. You got to be feeling good.
Yeah, I'm feeling okay. The last games, couple of games, I haven't gone the best. Just need to play good in the next 3.
So what exactly happened, and what do you plan to change to make it a better second half of the day?
We're just going to start double-looking everyone.
I mean, it seems even when you guys go down a little bit early, you're still able to grab those elims. So what is the part that you're able to do so well there?
All we can do is just get kills. Like, can't get any placement points. Just got to keep running across the map.
So obviously there's a lot of people watching, hopefully being able to learn from you guys, wanting to be pros like you guys. When you do have these far polling zones, what is something that could be a good piece of advice for these people watching?
You just need to make sure that you have enough stage to survive and then go to dead side and farm your meds.
Dead side rotation always works, or it works sometimes. Guys, thank you so much for joining me here, Joe and Zandy, and can't wait to see how you do in the second half of the game. But guys, it looks like it's time to head back to the desk.
You'll love to see it. Kelly, thank you so much. And again, I'm always going to shout out the players for just giving us that moment of time, just check in with them, see how they're doing, see how they're feeling. We have another special guest lined up. Nick A30, my boy, it is so good to see you. I don't know if you can hear it, but the venue is actually losing their minds that you're here with us.
I can't hear too much, but actually that's one of the best parts about those events, like the crowd reaction and the hype. Like, I was just looking at the crowd when they were showing it on the broadcast, and there was people dressed up as Peelies, there was people with signs. Like, that is the best part. I love it.
That is so awesome. Nick, welcome. We hope you are having a great watch party with the A team, the A squad, all of the homies out there. How are you enjoying the competition so far? What's standing out to you?
So I love it. I mean, I tweeted about this, but like the walkouts were epic, and the commentary from Monster and everyone was just phenomenal. It was on point. It was crisp. The quick stats are so cool. They add such another element, and I think the spectator client has improved so much. I mean, there's no lag. You can see everything in real time. Phenomenal. Production quality is great. Zeke, you're looking good, and you're killing it too. You guys got some nice setups, like I just want to say. And, you know, it's been interesting to watch a lot of these top players like Cammy and Seti, Queasy and Veno. And, you know, I'm rooting for Clicks, Booga, Savage. There's so many. It's like you just can't. I don't know who to root for now.
That's right. Yeah, we just had Somerset on, and we kind of got her like thoughts and insights. I wanted to pick your brain as well. Watching some of these players, especially, I mean, you've competed in a number of these tournaments as well. What kind of goes through your mind in these situations, in these like high intensity? Like, obviously, we here get to see everything, but when you're a player, your vision is a lot smaller.
Yeah, and I'm like, I get really nervous too, but I'd say the way to get not nervous is to practice. When you're practicing, you become more confident. When you're confident, you're thinking right, and you can actually like make those calls. I was really impressed with like Cammy and Seti because they popped off early in day one, and they're still showing up. I also was very impressed with Queasy and Benno. Like, they're so calm, completely opposite of me when I'm in that situation. Like, they're always on height, they're always finding it, and actually Game 7, I want to, like, call out that. Like, they did a fantastic job when they dropped down. So I think it was Venno who dropped down first, and Queasy was waiting, lurking from above. And the duo on the bottom drew their attention to Venno, and then Queasy comes in from behind. He stalled a bit after Venno drew their attention. It's just such great teamwork. And, like, this is what it's all about, Zeke. Like, you're seeing the top-level plays like that you don't see in, like, public matches. So it makes it so fun for hopefully everyone watching. And, you know, it's just great. I love it.
Thank you so much, Nick. We love hearing from you. And, of course, that insight next.